Will these 2024 movies flop or succeed at the box office? First up is Deadpool 3. The MCU is under a lot of pressure. They've had some flops recently. The first two Deadpools made a ton of money. This is a beloved character, and we're adding in Wolverine. I think this is a guaranteed success at the box office. Next is everybody's least favorite movie trailer, Argyle, which has a star-studded cast, but I don't think it's going to be enough. But they spent $200 million on this movie with advertising involved. They're going to have to make probably at least $350 to $400 million to even break even on this, and it's just not going to happen. Next up, we have Sony's Madame Web, which kind of looks like something that would be on the CW network. And if you're curious about how they're marketing this movie, how they revealed the suit of Madame Web was on an ocean spray bottle. So I'm going to say guaranteed flop. Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling is an interesting one. Ryan Gosling is obviously a huge star right now, and this does look pretty funny. So for the type of movie it is, it's been $125 million. Again, you have to make it at least like 1.5 to 2 times to even break even. And I do think this movie is just going to break even, and it'll be one of those that becomes like a cult classic on Netflix or other streaming services later. Joker 2 is a really interesting one. The first Joker obviously made $1 billion. Based on a budget of $150 million, I think it will be a box office success. I don't think it's going to quite reach that billion of the first one, but probably another like 700 to 800 million. Despicable Me 4, which I think is a guaranteed box office success. Kids movies are pretty much a cheat code. The last Despicable Me movie made $1 billion, and Minions Rise of Gru made just under $1 billion. This is a guaranteed smash. Next is Dune Part 2, my most anticipated movie of the year. First Dune movie made $402 million on a $165 million budget, which is actually pretty good, but you have to keep in mind this released on streaming on HBO Max at the same time. So I think this is going to be a massive success. I could easily see it bringing in $600 to $800 million. Next, we got the Garfield movie with Chris Pratt. I really don't know how much kids nowadays actually care about Garfield, but it is a kids movie, and Chris Pratt has shown that every movie he's in pretty much makes money. I'm going to say success. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is an interesting one because Ghostbusters Afterlife actually made a decent amount of money. It had a budget of only $75 million and grossed $204 million. But my gut tells me this movie's gonna flop. It's coming out in March, which is a loaded month for new movies. This movie feels like it should be like a Halloween or Christmas release due to everything that's happening in the film. Next up, we have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. The last Mad Max movie we saw only made $380 million, but I feel like it's gained a lot of fans ever since it came out. But Fury Road had a budget of $233 million, and if the budget's anywhere close to that for Furiosa, I think the best this movie can do is break even though I do think it will be a masterpiece. We get Pixar's Inside Out 2 this year. First one made $858 million, and it came out almost 10 years ago at this point. So I think this movie's guaranteed to succeed. I wouldn't even be surprised if it crossed $1 billion. Now, Beetlejuice 2 is releasing over 30 years after the first Beetlejuice came out, and we're getting Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder returning in this, plus Jenna Ortega. The original movie made $74 million in 1988, which is about $200 million in today's money. You cannot overestimate how much of a classic Beetlejuice has become. I feel like it's going to be a movie that people that only see 1 or 2 films a year in the theaters, they're going to get up and go to this one, so I'm going to say guaranteed success. Next up, Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out this March. All the Kung Fu Panda movies have made at least over $500 million at the box office. This feels like another movie where all the original fans plus new fans of the franchise all are going to go see a guaranteed success. Sony's Kraven the Hunter might be a different story though. I know Sony's Venom movies make a ton of money, but this is one of the most popular comic book characters ever. As we've seen with things like Morbius, people don't really care about these other Spider-Man villains without a Spider-Man in the movie. Luckily for Sony, the Spider-Man 2 PS5 game introduced a lot more general audiences to the character of Kraven, but I still think this is going to guaranteed flop. Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2, another kind of legacy sequel here coming out way after the original. The first Gladiator was the second highest grossing of 2000, the year it came out, but I some reason feel like this movie's not going to do as well. I feel like audiences really just don't want to go to theaters for these type of movies anymore, so I'm going to say it flops. Next up, we have Ballerina. This is a John Wick spinoff starring Ana de Armas. John Wick movies have just kept making more and more money with each and every sequel that they've came out with. I just feel like Ballerina is honestly just not a good name for marketing purposes for the movie this is going to be. I feel like it's going to be a good movie, but I'm going to say at best it breaks even. Probably going to become a bigger hit once it hits streaming sometime.